Hi and welcome to another Hodge Podge Australia video. Today we're making short crust pastry. What I'm using today is 1 egg yolk, 125 grams of butter which has been chopped and is still cold. I'm using 1 3/4 cups of plain flour and 2 teaspoons of ice water. First I'm going to start by putting the flour and the butter into a food processor and I'm going to pulse that until it looks like fine breadcrumbs. As you can see here, it's come down nicely into fine breadcrumb consistency. Now we're going to go ahead with adding in our egg yolk and then adding in the water. We're going to add them in together and then we're going to pulse it again until it comes together. You actually want to use the pulse feature and not just turning it on to blitz it, because you don't want to over process the flour and butter. You just want to give it the pulsing until you're happy with how it's come together in the bowl. Happy with the consistency of our mixture, we're going to turn it out onto a floured bench top and we're going to start kneading it. It will take a little bit of time to knead. You don't want to over knead it, so don't really go to town with the kneading like you would with bread where you want to get the gluten in. You just want to make sure that you bring it all together so that it's a lovely consistency and it's not too crumbly. I mean, you want it crumbly because it's short crust, but you don't want it so crumbly that you're not going to actually be able to put it in the tin. So giving it a good push together and kneading it around until you're happy with the consistency of the pastry. Then we're going to wrap it in cling film and you'll put it in the fridge for at least half an hour. Resting in the fridge for half an hour, it's time to roll it out and put it into our pie tins. So popping it in between 2 baking paper pieces so that it's not going to stick to the rolling pin. You can roll that out until you're happy with the thickness. As you can see, I have it rolled out now nicely. However, my pastry does still pull apart a bit, so what I'm going to do, and the great thing you can do with short crust pastry after you give your pans a spray with some olive oil, or you can put some butter around the edges just so they're non-stick, is you can take them apart and you can piece it all back together inside the pie tin. So you can just put one piece in, then add another piece and smush it all back together again. That's the great thing. It's very workable and it's great for amateurs who are giving it a go first time, because you don't need to be able to pick it all up in one piece and lay it down flat, because you can just use your thumb to squeeze it all back together again. As you're filling your pastry cases, you can just use a butter knife to cut the top off so that it's nice and flush with your pie tart tin. They're all finished, go back in the fridge for 10 minutes. Once they're settled, we're going to cut some baking paper. We're going to put it in, we're going to fill it with, I use chickpeas, you can use rice, you can use those fancy baking beans if you bought any. But again, there's plenty of things in your kitchen and in your cupboard that you can use rather than having to go and buy the expensive tools. Filling it with chickpeas, we're going to blind bake our pie cases now in a 160 degree, that is if it's fan forced, 180 if it's not, oven, and that's going to go in there for around 15 minutes. When they're finished blind baking, we're going to pull them out, obviously using a oven mitt because the baking tray will be hot. We're going to take out our chickpeas and our baking paper, and we're actually going to put these back in the oven again now to firm up the top. Now that we have them out, they're lovely and crisp, lovely and hard. They just need to cool down and then they'll be ready to add in a filling. Here they are, all ready to go, all ready to have a filling put in them. If you'd like to click on the link at the top, you can see how we've made Nutella mousse tartlets out of these. Thanks for watching and be sure to tune in again.